difficult to see anyone lose their freedom. But seeing somebody lose their life through torture over 9.5 minutes is incomparably worse.
Say his name. Say his name.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for the murder of George Floyd. Good evening, I'm Kirsten Holmes.
And I'm Jesse Pagan. Carlo and Barbara Lee are off tonight. It's a case that was watched around the world and drew anger and protests nationwide and internationally, including here in San Diego.
News 8's Heather Hope has reaction from local leaders who were watching today's sentencing pretty closely.
Yes, and as reaction continues to pour in regarding today's sentencing, we did hear from local activist Shane Harris, who spoke with George Floyd's cousin Gary here in San Diego. He says although the sentencing seemed fair, it's not exactly what the family wanted.
There's some level of closure. It's obviously not as much as they would have wanted it to be.
Reverend Shane Harris and other activists across San Diego County are reacting to the sentence of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for the death of George Floyd.
22 years seems heavy to others, but to us who've been living this life every day, it's not as heavy as some may think.
When will officers get the maximum sentence that my black brothers, my black sisters, and our black children get in this justice system?
Floyd's family wanted the maximum sentence of 30 years for Chauvin.
My niece Gianna, she needs closure. I'm asking that you please find it suitable to give Officer Chauvin the maximum sentence possible.
The brothers of George Floyd got a chance to address Chauvin directly in court.
I wanted to know from the man himself, why? What were you thinking? What was going through your head when you had your knee on my brother's neck?
Derek Chauvin spoke out at his sentencing, saying due to some additional legal matters, he is not able to give a full formal statement.
I want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest.
When I hear the Chauvin apology, all I hear is George Floyd crying out for his mother.
We heard from Derek Chauvin's mother, Carolyn Palenti, for the first time, pleading for a lesser sentence for her son.
I've seen the toll it has taken on him. I believe a lengthy sentence will not serve Derek well.
Ultimately, the judge sentenced Chauvin to 22.5 years.
Abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd.
Shane Harris spoke to George Floyd's cousin, Gary Jones, a U.S. Navy sailor stationed in San Diego.
The family certainly feels, and I know particularly Gary, really wanted to see some level of sentencing that was reasonable.
Heather Hope, News 8.
Coming up tonight at 6:30, we'll have more on today's sentencing, including what's next for Derek Chauvin and what George Floyd's family is saying about the day in court.